Hey guys, it's Jill from New Digs. I'm here at Beaver Farm in Falls Village, and I'm going to be talking with Dan and Marlene, who run the farm, and finding out how they've managed to put a new spin on a small family farm. I first met Dan and Marlene 2 years ago, and I took the beekeeping course from them. It's a great course, and it covers academic work as well as hands-on beekeeping. The class starts in early spring, and you get to work the hives through spring, summer, and into fall, and when you finally get to do the honey harvest. So you really get a hands-on feel of what a beekeeper's year is like.
I'm from the Netherlands, and I moved to New York because I was working for United Nations, and I was very interested in more older ways of farming. I come from a small farming community, which is very much a modern monocultural greenhouse type of farming, which is very common in the Netherlands, and that was never something I felt very appealed to. But then I got to know in Italy, where I lived for a while, more the traditional old style farming and the small family farms and homesteading and these kind of things. And that really spoke to me. And when I lived in the city, I longed for that so badly. I longed to be out in nature. I longed to be able to take care of myself, to truly create things for myself and learn to eat in a way that's best for my body and that felt in balance with nature. And I started keeping bees and took some beekeeping classes. Yeah, I had 2 beehives in Queens, right by the BQE. I didn't do very, very well, so I took some bee classes from this beekeeper that came down to the city to teach a course on a rooftop farm. And I very much right away fell very much in love. So yeah, a year later we moved here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Life happens fast.
Very fast. Yeah. With a baby in the way. It was very fast.
Wow.
I feel like we also very much have, we didn't invent any of these wheels. We've learned a lot from, observing some other lead farmers around the country.
Beaver Farm really is a family affair, with both Dan and Marlene and the kids there frequently. Sometimes the kids would even put on their tiny little beekeeping suits and get out there with us among the hives.
Well, I actually became a beekeeper as a Peace Corps volunteer. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Malawi in Eastern Africa, and I was working with natural resource management around the national parks. And I actually learned from one of the park rangers, a Malawian man, and he recommended it as a way to sort of integrate the surrounding community with the park. By hanging beehives up on the around the borders of the parks, you're generating income for the farmers that surround the parks, but also keeping the elephants in the park, kind of like making beehive fences by hanging the beehives all along the edge of the park, and the elephants really recognize them and stay away from them. So I learned from Malawians, I learned from him, and then I also found a lead beekeeper in the community, and I ended up extending my contract for a third year just to focus on a beekeeping project with them. So.
We started the beekeeping class that Dan was teaching in different spaces, but also in Brooklyn where I met him. Started teaching it here 4 years ago. And it felt very full circle and really lovely, and it really made us feel how much building a community around the farm is one of our main drivers, is one of the things that gives us most energy and excitement. So the beekeeping course turned out to be a really, really fun part of our year. And then last year, COVID hit, and we had to cancel it for the year because it just felt too complicated at that very moment in the early spring to foresee how the year was going to be. So we didn't really do anything. We didn't have people on the farm very much and really missed it. So this year we really expanded on that. We again have the beekeeping course, have sold out very quickly. It was very wonderful to see how many people during this time even more were longing to be in nature and to be outside and to do something new, exciting, and learn a new skill that would feel wonderful to them.
Yeah.
And we expanded, so we also started planning a meat chicken course and a layer hen course, and how to keep chickens at home on pasture. And we started doing farm tours once a month. So we once a month have people come over at the farm on a Friday night. We call it Thank Goat It's Friday. And people come and join us for a lovely walk in the pasture at the end of the day, in which we talk about our animals, and we go and visit the sheep and the goats where they are at that moment. We move them every day all over the farm. And we visit the apiary or whatever we're focusing on that day. And it's a very sweet way of having people enjoy this beautiful place with us. And then in the fall, we do a honey harvest festival. And our main way this year that we tried to open up the farm for our community is by creating a farm club. Our main business here is raising sheep and goats, besides the apiary, besides the bees, raising sheep and goats for meat. And we created a farm club in which people in the beginning of the year, or really throughout the season, buy a box of lamb or goats and pick it up at harvest time in the fall, but throughout the season can come and be with us and have a farm club potluck or a farm club walk, or these kind of ways to give people the opportunity to spend more time on the actual place where their food comes from and really see everything there is to see and really know intimately the people that grow their food. People really started to get more knowledgeable about problems within their food chain or within agriculture, and have really wanted more transparency and more direct ways of truly seeing with their own eyes. We try to be radically transparent with things and have people be at the farm as much as they want with us.
Nothing like a pandemic to make you want to have a little control over your food source.
For sure. That has been something for all of us, including ourselves, even though we had a big vegetable garden and for our family and we raised animals. We, at that time, also started thinking about more ways in which we can truly really take care of ourselves. That's a way to make you feel in control in such a confusing and insecure time. Yeah.
What can somebody who doesn't have a farm do, that's like a home gardener, what can we do that would be helpful for the bees?
Yeah.
Well, always planting cover crops, I think, is a big part of it. If you have times of year where you don't have something growing in your garden, plant a little buckwheat, Dutch white clover,
The bees are going crazy for the color right now.
Yeah, exactly. The
Borage. They're loving the borage.
Borage. Yeah. I think any trying to fill the gaps. This time of year. Right now it's July 13th, July 14th. This time of year, a lot of our nectar sources are kind of dried off until the goldenrod and asters start to bloom. So this is a great time to have some cover crop for the bees. Whether that's forage.
And a very important thing is to try and avoid spraying, using pesticides. It makes a huge difference. The amount that is being used in home use is very significant and has a big influence as well.
If you eat food, bees are important. I mean, now there are primary pollinators, and I'm not just talking about honeybees here. Native bees like bumblebees, orchard bees, mason bees, carpenter bees. They're all essential. So anything we can do to create habitat for them, because they pollinate 2/3 of every food we eat are primarily pollinated by bees. So.
It not just being the honeybees. I feel like in the last few years it has really become a buzz to be very passionate about saving the honeybees, and it's something we're both very passionate about, and it's one of our favorite things to do. But I think that it is very good to emphasize that it's the native bees that really are in trouble. That's kind of a separate story from the honeybees until a certain extent, and they are so essential for the whole ecosystem where they belong. The honeybees are not necessarily they're not native to here.
Right.
So I think it's really good to understand that also those other type of bees that we don't maybe all recognize, but that are so essential for where we live and for the whole bigger circle. So that's, I think, something that's
and there's a lot of specialized bees that are really perfect for certain crops. Orchard bees being a great example, but like squash bees and things like that. Really making sure there's habitat for all the different bees out there is really important. And I think of beekeeping, or even if you're not a honeybee keeper, bee loving can be a real gateway towards being more of a naturalist in general. You start to pay much closer attention to the bloom dates, and
Definitely.
it makes you a lot more in tune with nature.
Yeah, learning more about the different plants and flowers. Yeah, and I think it's also really good for people to know that whatever they do, as small as it may seem sometimes, when you start to learn those type of things, that it's very small things can have big effects.
Well, we love, for people that are local here in this area, we love to be a place where they find community, outside spaces to enjoy, a place to learn, a place to maybe eat from. And we really would love to encourage people whenever they have questions about bees or livestock or the sustainable types of grazing or of maintaining a holistic farm. We love talking about it. That's one of our favorite things. So we're always really happy to have people get in touch through social media or through our websites, and come by anytime.
I want to thank Dan and Marlene for taking the time to talk to us about their farm, and we'll see you next time on New Digs.